There is something on the branch right now, a small, strange creature that most people walk past without a second thought. You may have seen one this week, moving across a stem in your garden, or crossing a path in that slow, deliberate way that makes it read as nothing but an obstacle. Its markings are bold in ways that feel designed to provoke discomfort. Some have spines, some have patterns that read as warning. The ones with 2 false eye spots near their head, evolved to mimic a predator's face, are built to survive being noticed rather than avoided. And your first instinct, the one that arrives before you have thought anything at all, is probably to flick it away or walk on. That instinct is going to cost something, not just the creature itself, but something you will never see, never know you missed, and cannot get back. The caterpillar on that branch is a biological event so extreme that scientists still argue about how it is even possible. And depending on which one is crossing your path right now, it may be among the rarest creatures alive on this continent. If you're enjoying this so far, hit the like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I actually read them. The Monarch butterfly's caterpillar, the one you would recognize from the black and yellow stripes against a milkweed leaf, has lost more than 80% of its eastern population since the 1990s. The western population declined by 99% in a single generation. When you remove one from a stem, you are ending a creature that researchers are watching disappear one garden at a time. The story most of us carry about caterpillars is a short one. They eat, they grow, they disappear into a chrysalis, and a butterfly comes out. A tidy sequence. We learn it young enough that it stops feeling remarkable, long before we are old enough to ask what is actually happening inside the shell. The assumption underneath that story is that the caterpillar is the lesser form, the larval waiting room before something worthwhile arrives. That framing is fixed enough that most people could not identify a monarch caterpillar on a milkweed plant unless they were actively looking for one, and even then, the instinct is often to brush it aside to protect whatever else is growing nearby. What the simple story leaves out is what the chrysalis actually contains. The transformation inside it is not gradual or gentle. It is one of the most extreme biological events known to science. Because the caterpillar does not grow wings, it dissolves, and something else is assembled from what remains. In 2002, biologist Dr. Martha Weiss at Georgetown University ran one of the more disorienting experiments in modern entomology. She trained tobacco hornworm caterpillars to avoid a specific odor using mild electric shocks. The caterpillars learned the association. Then she allowed them to complete metamorphosis into hawk moths. Then she exposed the adult moths to the same odor. The moths avoided it. They retained a memory of something experienced as a caterpillar, across the complete biochemical destruction of their own nervous system. During metamorphosis, the caterpillar releases enzymes that break its own tissue into what researchers describe as a cellular soup. Organs dissolve first, then muscles, then the entire digestive system. What remains is a collection of cells called imaginal discs, dormant since the egg stage, embedded inside the larval body like a second blueprint. Those discs rebuild an entirely different organism from the raw material of the one that was taken apart. The butterfly was always inside the caterpillar. It just needed everything else to dissolve first. Outside the laboratory, that transformation sustains ecological connections that took millions of years to form. Research published in 2021 by scientists at the University of Exeter found that moths and butterflies collectively pollinate more than 200 plant species in the United Kingdom alone, including plants that bees cannot reach because of flower shape or timing. Night-flying moths reach entire categories of flower that close before dawn. Ecologist Dr. Lynn Dix, studying pollinator decline in Britain, found that in areas where moth and butterfly populations had dropped by more than 60%, certain plant species showed measurable reductions in seed production within 2 growing seasons. Those moths maintained the conditions for plant reproduction across whole landscapes, operating as a collective system. A single painted lady butterfly, whose caterpillar looks almost identical to a piece of dead plant material, travels more than 9,000 miles in a single generation. Radar tracking data from 2019 confirmed their route crosses multiple continents. The caterpillar you set aside without registering is one transformation cycle away from that. The populations behind those numbers are contracting in ways that researchers describe, with deliberate care, as a crisis. Dr. Karen Oberhauser at the University of Minnesota has tracked monarch populations for more than 3 decades. Her data shows a collapse that does not unfold over geological time. It happens within a human lifetime. There are people alive today who remember monarchs arriving in such numbers that trees would disappear beneath them. Every branch weighted in wings. Their children have seen a handful in a summer. If this is making you think, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss one. This channel only exists because of the people who share these videos, and I don't take that lightly. The common explanation focuses on habitat loss and pesticide exposure, combined with climate shifts that disrupt migration timing. These are accurate and documented. But there is a third element in the data, one that researchers note carefully because it is the hardest to address through policy alone. Direct removal at the larval stage. Caterpillars are killed as pests in home gardens, on window screens, in vegetable plots, by people who have no idea what species they are handling. The black swallowtail caterpillar is one of the most important pollinators in the eastern United States. It uses plants in the carrot family as host plants: dill, parsley, fennel. In a kitchen herb garden, it reads as an invader. It is removed by gardeners who have spent real effort growing exactly the plants the caterpillar requires. Cultures that recognize the significance of this creature existed long before population data could quantify it. The Aztecs believed that returning warriors came back to the world in the form of monarch butterflies. Ancient Greeks used the same word, psyche, for both the soul and the butterfly. In Japan, a butterfly or moth discovered near a doorway was traditionally left undisturbed, understood to carry something meaningful through the transformation it represented. Those were observations passed down through generations of people who watched the natural world closely enough to notice something true about the creature on the stem. What researchers began documenting in the early 2000s, as decades of population surveys accumulated, was a pattern in which specific types of caterpillar were declining at rates that habitat loss alone could not fully account for. The large ones. The ones with spines, horns, or markings that read as threatening to someone who was not expecting to find them. The Cecropia moth caterpillar grows to the size of a finger. It carries red and yellow knobs along its back. It moves with slow intention, which most people register as threatening. The adult it produces is the largest moth in North America, with a wingspan that can reach 6 inches. When the Cecropia emerges from its cocoon, it has no functional mouth. It lives on fat reserves built entirely during the caterpillar stage, finds a mate, and dies within 2 weeks. Kill the caterpillar, and there is no adult, no reproduction, no next generation. Dr. David Wagner at the University of Connecticut led the first comprehensive survey of moth population decline across North America, published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2021. The data documented declines exceeding 80% for certain species within a single decade. Wagner identified light pollution and habitat fragmentation as primary drivers, but he also named something harder to quantify. The larval stage receives almost no public attention and almost no advocacy. Butterflies appear in documentaries and on conservation campaigns. They have sanctuaries. The caterpillar that produces every one of them exists in a category that most people file away without thinking as a pest or an inconvenience. Nobody builds campaigns around their survival. The grief, when a species disappears, lands on the winged stage. But the winged stage was always downstream of this one. Every butterfly anyone has ever found worth looking at was a caterpillar first. Every moth species in decline began here, slow and strange on a branch, in a moment that someone could have ended without noticing. There is a sorting mechanism in the way most of us move through the world. We register what we expect to find significant and let the rest pass. Butterflies clear that threshold. The caterpillar that becomes one rarely does. What changes when you understand what that slow body on the branch actually contains? The cellular architecture of something capable of crossing continents, of reaching flowers no other pollinator can access. of retaining a memory intact across a dissolution that should have erased it completely. All of that is present, assembled, waiting, in the creature you almost stepped past. The next time you find one in your garden, on a leaf at the edge of a path, stop. You will not know which one will become something rare. Many will not survive regardless, but you cannot know which one will. And the cost of being wrong accumulates in ways that cannot be corrected once the numbers are gone. The biology has been running the whole time. You have been walking past transformation and walking past rarity without recognizing either. The creature on the branch was already worth stopping for. Thank you for watching until the end. If this changed how you see something, check out the videos on screen. I think they will hit the same way. And subscribe if you haven't. See you in the next one.